The first time I realized that clothes could change more than just how people saw me, I hadn't yet understood just how powerful that transformation could feel. My name is Ryan, 22, and I've always had a complicated relationship with identity. Most people would call me your average guy. I work a 9 to 5 office job. I'm polite enough to avoid conflicts, and I try to keep my private life private. But there's another side of me, one I've only ever dared explore behind closed doors. It's a side that finds freedom and confidence in dresses, heels, and makeup, a side I've kept secret for years. I live in a small apartment just a few blocks from the city center, a cozy space that feels safe and mine. My mornings are routine, coffee, work emails, traffic lights, but my nights, when I'm alone, are when the other me emerges. I've experimented with different looks, different styles, always careful to hide any evidence from friends, colleagues, and most importantly, my girlfriend, Emma. She's wonderful in her own right, supportive, understanding, and often playful. But there's no way she could know the full extent of my secret. Not yet. Emma and I have been together for almost 2 years. She knows I'm a little particular about fashion, a little experimental with my style, but she thinks of it as quirky. She doesn't know that sometimes, when she's at work late, I spend hours trying on dresses, curling my hair, practicing makeup, and walking around in heels just to see how it feels. It's thrilling, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. It was on a rainy Saturday afternoon that my world started to tilt in a way I never could have predicted. My cousin, Lila, had always been a whirlwind of energy and fashion sense. She's a few years older than me, strikingly beautiful, with the kind of confidence that makes people follow her lead without question. Our families have always been close, and I loved her like a sister, though she had a mischievous streak that often left me cautious. That Saturday, I had agreed to meet her at her apartment for what I thought would be a casual catch-up. Emma was working late, and I had promised myself that I'd finally experiment with a new look I'd been hesitant to try. But when Lila opened the door, umbrella dripping, her eyes sparkled with that mischievous light that always made me slightly nervous. "Ryan," she exclaimed, pulling me into a quick hug. "You won't believe what I've found. You have to try this." I laughed nervously, brushing water from my jacket. "What is it this time, Lila? A new hat? A scarf?" She shook her head, bouncing on her heels. "Better. Much better. I've got this amazing fashion idea, and you're perfect for it." Before I could protest, she dragged me into her apartment. Her space was everything I imagined a fashion haven would be: racks of colorful clothes, sparkling accessories neatly arranged on shelves, mirrors in every corner, and a faint, intoxicating scent of perfume and polished wood. "You're going to be my fashion twin," she announced, holding up a delicate pink dress against her body. "We're going to match. Don't argue, it'll be fun." I froze. My mind raced. Matching outfits? With my cousin? In front of no one, yes, but still, my heartbeat quickened at the thought. I didn't want to disappoint her, but I also didn't expect what was coming next. She smiled, eyes gleaming, and placed the dress gently in my hands. "Come on, try it. Just for fun. You'll see it'll be amazing." I glanced down at the dress. It was soft, flowing, designed to hug the curves in just the right way. I hesitated, caught between panic and curiosity. Deep inside, part of me wanted to say no. Another part, the part I'd hidden for years, wanted nothing more than to feel the fabric against my skin, to let myself be someone else, even if just for an hour. Lila's eyes softened. "I know it's a little weird, Ryan, but trust me, just for a bit. You won't regret it." I swallowed hard. I thought about Emma, about my careful life, about the secret I had guarded so fiercely. And then, almost against my own better judgment, I nodded. "Okay, I'll try it." That decision changed everything. As I stepped into her bathroom to change, I couldn't help but notice the trembling in my hands. The pink dress felt surprisingly soft against my skin, hugging in ways I hadn't imagined. I adjusted it nervously, the fabric whispering over my arms, over my torso. Then came the shoes, delicate heels that made me wobble at first. I gripped the counter, toes curling inside the unfamiliar height. Then the mirror. My reflection was astonishing. The dress, the makeup Lila had carefully applied, the styled wig that framed my face perfectly. It was me, yet not me. I looked beautiful. Vulnerable, yes, but beautiful. Lila clapped her hands. See? Doesn't it feel amazing? I could only nod, my throat tight, my pulse racing. Part of me was terrified. What would Emma think if she ever saw me like this? What if someone else walked in? But part of me felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Lila grinned and pulled out matching accessories, delicate bracelets, necklaces, a little purse. Now you're officially my twin. We're unstoppable. The afternoon passed in a blur of laughter, fashion tips, and teasing glances. But underneath the fun, a knot of suspense formed in my stomach. I knew that soon, reality would intrude. Someone might see us, I might overstep my comfort zone, or Emma might walk in unexpectedly. And in that moment, I realized that Lila's playful experiment was more than just a fashion game. It was a challenge. One that would push me into a world I had only dared explore in private. And as the rain pattered against her windows, casting shadows across the room, I felt the thrill and terror intertwine. I had stepped into the unknown. And whatever came next, my life would never be quite the same again. The evening had already pushed me to my limits, yet Lila wasn't done. Her mischievous smile promised that the next challenge would test every ounce of my courage. As the last of her friends departed, she leaned in close, whispering, "You've done so well, but now it's time for the real test." My stomach sank. My heels clicked nervously on the floor as I followed her into her bedroom, where she had laid out the piece de resistance, a sleek, figure-hugging dress I had only dared admire from afar, and a pair of impossibly high stilettos. "Tonight, we take it outside," she said, eyes gleaming. "Just for a little walk. The world needs to see my fashion twin." I froze. The thought of stepping outside in public, dressed like this, made my palms sweat. Every instinct screamed danger. Emma could call. A neighbor could appear. Someone could recognize me. But Lila's confident gaze made it clear. She wouldn't let me back out now. Reluctantly, I allowed her to guide me through the door. The city streets were alive with lights and voices, and each step in the stilettos felt like walking a tightrope. I could feel the tension coiling in my stomach, a mix of fear and adrenaline. Every passerby was a potential hazard. Every glance a possible discovery. And then it happened, the first close call. A neighbor from my building turned the corner, looking straight at me. My heart stopped. I forced a smile, hoping he wouldn't recognize me. He paused, raised an eyebrow, and muttered, "Hey, didn't expect to see you out like this." Panic surged, but Lila squeezed my hand reassuringly, whispering, "Just smile and act confident." I nodded, forcing myself to project the persona Lila had crafted so meticulously. Each step outside was a battle between my desire to disappear and the thrilling liberation of being seen. Lila reveled in the attention, laughing and chatting with strangers as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Meanwhile, I felt every muscle tense, ready to flee at the first sign of trouble. Back inside Lila's apartment, things escalated further. She insisted we take more photos, each pose more daring than the last. As she adjusted my wig, I caught my reflection in the mirror and felt a jolt of fear. What if Emma saw me like this? The thought alone made my heart pound in my chest. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. My stomach dropped. Who could it be at this hour? Lila's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Don't worry, it's probably just a delivery," she said, but the tension in the air was palpable. My heels clicked nervously as I followed her to the door, trying to maintain the poised posture she had taught me. To my horror, it wasn't a delivery. Emma's voice called through the door. "Hey, can I come in?" My breath caught. Panic and guilt collided, making my vision blur. Lila gave me a sly grin, as if daring me to face the ultimate test. I tried to compose myself, smoothing the dress and tugging at my wig. When Emma stepped inside, her eyes widened, and for a moment, the world seemed to freeze. I could feel every heartbeat, every tremor in my body. Would she laugh? Would she be angry? Or worse, would she be proud? Emma's gaze swept over me, taking in the full transformation. My blush deepened as I realized the truth. There was no turning back now. The persona I had embraced in Lila's apartment was fully exposed, and my secret life was hanging by a thread. What are you wearing?" Emma asked, a mix of curiosity and disbelief in her tone. I opened my mouth to explain, but the words caught in my throat. Lila, ever the instigator, nudged me forward. "Go on," she whispered. "Show her who you can be." I swallowed hard and stepped toward Emma, each movement deliberate, controlled, yet trembling with fear. I tried to smile, to convey the confidence I didn't fully feel. The heels made every step a conscious effort, each sway of my hips amplified by the dress. My pulse raced as I realized that this moment would define everything. Emma's eyes softened as she looked at me, and for a brief second, I thought she might accept me. But then her expression shifted. Was it surprise, concern, or something else? I couldn't tell. My heart hammered in my chest, and I realized that every choice I made from this point on would carry weight. The night continued in a blur of tension. Lila encouraged more poses, more daring outfits, and each time, Emma's presence added a new layer of complexity. I laughed nervously, tried to maintain composure, but inside, I was a whirlwind of anxiety and exhilaration. The danger of discovery, the thrill of performance, and the vulnerability of my exposed self collided in a way that left me breathless. At one point, as I reached for a mirror to adjust my wig, I felt it slip slightly. Panic surged. Lila caught it just in time, her fingers steadying the hairpiece.
"See?
That's the thrill," she said, grinning. "Every imperfection makes it real." By the end of the night, exhaustion and adrenaline tangled together. I had faced public exposure, Emma's scrutiny, and the constant pressure of maintaining my persona. Yet, in the chaos, I discovered a part of myself I had never truly known, a fearless, bold identity that thrived in both vulnerability and performance. But the final twist came just as the night was winding down. A sudden knock on the door, sharper and more urgent than before, sent my heart racing. Lila's grin faltered. "Who could that be?" I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach. I realized in that moment that my journey wasn't over. Every secret, every boundary, every thrill had led to this instant, a cliffhanger where the next choice could either liberate me or destroy the fragile balance of my dual life. And with Emma standing just a few feet away, eyes wide with curiosity, I understood that nothing would ever be the same again. The knock on the door echoed through the apartment, sharper, more urgent than anything I had heard all night. My heart slammed against my ribs, and every nerve in my body screamed in panic. Lila froze beside me, her mischievous grin gone, replaced by a flicker of unease. Emma's eyes widened, shifting between me and the door, her curiosity mixed with a hint of suspicion that made my stomach churn. "Should I check?" Emma asked cautiously, her voice almost a whisper. I swallowed hard, the dress tightening around me, the heels making every step deliberate and slow. My mind raced. If I opened the door, whoever was out there would see me like this, completely exposed, every secret of my hidden life dangling by a thread. Lila leaned in, her breath warm against my ear. "It's fine. Just play it cool," she murmured, though her grip on my wrist was firm, almost commanding. "Whatever happens, we stick together." I nodded, trying to steady the trembling in my hands. The knock came again, 3 sharp, deliberate raps that seemed to echo in the room, vibrating through my chest. I took a shaky breath and stepped forward, every inch of my body screaming hesitation, every muscle tense. Emma followed cautiously, eyes never leaving me, a mix of wonder and unease in her expression. When I opened the door, a shadow fell across the threshold. For a moment, I couldn't see clearly, my vision blurred by adrenaline, but then the figure stepped into the light, and my blood ran cold. It wasn't a delivery, it wasn't a friend. It was someone I had hoped I'd never see tonight, someone who could unravel everything. My mind scrambled, searching for a plan, a way to explain, to hide, to protect the fragile persona I had built in Lila's apartment. The heels felt suddenly like a trap, the dress like armor that offered no protection against what was coming. Emma's hand found mine, squeezing gently, but the gesture only heightened my anxiety. Did she realize the danger I was in? Did she understand the secrets that had been piled into tonight, each one a precarious balancing act? My pulse raced, thoughts spinning faster than my body could move. The stranger smiled, or at least it seemed like a smile, but there was something in their gaze that made my heart twist in fear. Recognition, judgment, maybe even curiosity that I couldn't control. Every instinct screamed to run, to flee, but Lila's grip held me in place, whispering, "You can do this. Just be her." I glanced at Emma. Her expression was a mixture of concern and intrigue, but I couldn't tell if she suspected or if she was just fascinated by the transformation she was witnessing firsthand. I wanted to warn her, to say, "Please, don't get involved," but the words caught in my throat. The strangers stepped closer, their eyes scanning me from head to toe, lingering on the dress, the heels, the wig perched perfectly on my head. I could feel every heartbeat, every tiny shift in the room, as if the world itself had slowed to watch this precarious moment unfold. "Is this really you?" the voice asked, low, tinged with disbelief. My chest tightened. Lila's grip on my hand tightened too, a silent reminder that retreat was impossible. Every secret I had worked so hard to contain, the duality of my life, the hidden desires, the playful rebellion, was now laid bare, vulnerable to exposure in the harsh light of scrutiny. I forced a smile, trying to steady my trembling voice. "Yeah, it's me," I said, though the words felt fragile, like a paper bridge over a chasm of chaos. Lila's eyes sparkled, not with mischief now, but with a sharp edge of challenge, daring me to hold my ground. The stranger stepped closer still, and in that moment, I realized just how fragile everything was. One misstep, one word, one glance could shatter the balance, revealing all the hidden layers I had tried to protect. My pulse thundered in my ears, the dress clinging uncomfortably, the heels threatening to betray my footing at any second. Emma's gaze lingered on me, unreadable, and I wondered if she understood the risk I was taking, if she saw the vulnerability beneath the carefully crafted exterior, or if she only saw the surface, the playful, daring persona Lila had shaped. I wanted to tell her everything, but fear and pride and the sheer thrill of the night held me silent. The stranger's eyes narrowed slightly, a knowing glint that made my stomach flip. They spoke again, their tone cautious but commanding. "I need to know everything, right now." The weight of the moment pressed down, suffocating and electrifying at once. My breath caught, my mind raced, and I realized that tonight, nothing would ever be the same. Every choice from here on out could alter the course of my life, my secrets, my relationship with Emma, and the identity I had only just begun to embrace. And then the knock came again, this time soft, almost deliberate, echoing in my chest more than the door. Someone else. Or was it the same visitor, moving unseen? I couldn't tell. The uncertainty sent a shiver down my spine. Lila stepped closer, whispering in my ear, "Ready." Her voice was steady, unwavering, but her eyes betrayed excitement, and perhaps a hint of danger. I nodded, gripping her hand, the heels pinching my feet, the dress tight around my chest, the wig perfectly in place, but feeling like it could unravel at any moment. The stranger's gaze bore into me, and I realized the night's suspense had reached its peak. Every secret, every thrill, every fear was teetering on a knife edge, and the next move, my next word, my next gesture, would determine everything. I took a deep breath, feeling the world narrow down to a single heartbeat. And then the scene froze. The door remained half open, the stranger still looming, Emma standing silently beside me, Lila grinning with her signature audacity. My heels clicked slightly against the floor, my chest rose and fell with tension, and I understood one terrifying truth. This was just the beginning. Everything hung in the balance. One wrong move, one slip of a word, and the carefully constructed world of secrets, identity, and daring transformation could collapse completely. And as the camera of our imagination lingered on that frozen, electric moment, the audience is left with one burning question. What happens next? Will I survive the night unexposed, or will my secret life be revealed in a single, heart-stopping instant?